What's up guys, welcome to the first tutorial in our Pyplot course. This will be a general intro into Pyplot, and here we'll just take a couple of minutes to learn about what makes Pyplot so special and kind of introduce the library itself. Right, so here we'll first go over what is Pyplot, then we'll talk about some of the applications of Pyplot, places where you might see this in the real world or in real programs, and then we'll go over what we can actually do with Pyplot specifically. For starters, what is Pyplot? Well, Pyplot is actually a sub-library within the big library, Matplot library, that allows Matplot library to work kind of like MATLAB. If you've ever used MATLAB before, you should know that graphing is pretty easy. Basically, the graphs are treated as figures, and so the idea behind Pyplot is that we can kind of introduce that sort of interface, that sort of functionality into Matplot library. Now, that might not mean too much to you, but essentially what this means for us is it allows users to treat graphs as figures, which can be implicitly and automatically created. Pyplot is very, very intelligent in that we basically just feed it some data and it does most of the heavy lifting for us in terms of adjusting axes, actually plotting the data, etc. So this allows for very easy graphing of data. It's extremely user-friendly. You basically just toss some data sets into a plot function and it does all the work for us. It's open source, so if you notice any bugs or have any suggestions, then you yourselves can actually suggest edits in the GitLab repo. And as of the time of my recording, the latest version is 3.1.3. Depending on when you're taking this course, you might have a much later version. I just want to point that out right now so that you don't take this course and say, oh, well, that's obsolete because you're using incorrect functions and stuff. The stuff that I'll be going over will be specific to 3.1.3. All right, so where might we see Pyplot used out in the real world? Well, anytime we need to create graphs and charts with Python, Pyplot is likely going to be the library used there. So that means it's often used in data science and analysis programs. So any kind of data analysis, anytime we need to graph data and analyze it, then likely we'll use Pyplot. It's great for recognizing trends in data. This can be particularly useful if you are creating models that are based on trends such as weather prediction or stock market prediction, stuff like that. It's used very commonly in machine learning to kind of measure, for example, how well the model is doing, stuff like loss, accuracy, etc. We often plot that data over time to kind of get a sense for how well our model is actually performing. And it's often used for image viewing and analysis as well. There are actually functions within Pyplot that will help us to better analyze image. This can be stuff like applying just a red scale or green scale or blue scale to an image, kind of breaking apart the image, modifying it, etc. Pyplot is commonly used for that too. Now, what can we specifically do with Pyplot? Pyplot is going to be used to create like scatter plots, line graphs, etc. Can also be used to create charts such as bar charts, pie charts, and so on and so forth. Again, there are many more kinds of graphs and charts available, but these will be some of the more commonly used ones that you might see. It can also be used to generate 3D graphs, and that's very powerful because that takes actually a lot of kind of processing to process 3 different sets of data. We can customize a graph appearance, line style, axes, titles, etc. It's actually very flexible in this regard. There's a lot that we can do. And we can use it to very easily create trend lines, lines of best fit, etc. by plotting multiple lines on a single graph. So essentially, Pyplot is really all about graphing, or I guess there's a little bit of image analysis in there. There's plenty of options as far as different kinds of graphs or charts, 3D graphs, etc. It's highly customizable. It's just all in all a great library. Okay, that's all we really wanted to cover. There's not much else to say. Anytime you want graphs in Python, Pyplot is probably your best friend. So let's get started in the next section by talking about just an intro into how to plot some basic data with Pyplot. Actually, before that, we'll need to learn how to install it, but that'll be really, really quick. Okay, so stay tuned for that. Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys in the next one.